My name is Charlie. I'm the founder of Charlie the Traveler, and today we're going to be talking all about Costa Rica. I'll tell you when I think the best time is for you to visit. We will talk about the logistics, meaning how to get around. Should you rent a car? Should you hire a private driver and vehicle? We're going to put together for you an itinerary. Where do I recommend you visit? How much time should you spend in each of these places that I recommend? And in which order should you visit these places that I recommend? We'll talk about expense. We all have a budget. How do we visit Costa Rica and stay within our means? We'll talk about the food. We'll talk about the people. We'll go over some safety tips, and in between I'll share with you some stories of my times in Costa Rica. And let's get straight to when I think you should visit. November through April is the dry season, and this is the ideal time for visiting Costa Rica. However, if you cannot visit during one of those months, the other months are usually just fine. They're considered wetter season months, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be raining all day long. It usually will rain here and there now and then, and then it'll stop and the sun will shine again, and you just kind of go about your day. I have visited Costa Rica during the dry season. I have visited Costa Rica during the wet season, and they weren't different enough for me to tell you, hey, don't go during the wet months. If there is one time to avoid Costa Rica, perhaps, is during December, because that is when the prices of hotels go through the roof. I mean, they go through the absolute roof. That is going to be the main expense when you visit Costa Rica. There aren't a lot of quality hotels in the country, and they know that. So the ones that are good charge an arm and a leg. So avoid December if you want to save yourself some money, that's for sure. So let's now get into the logistics, meaning how to get around. The shuttles are pretty good for getting between the different main attractions. And I think that this works for parties of, let's say, 4 and fewer. In other words, if you're just traveling by yourself or with 3 other people, I think that would be your best option. If you are 5 people or more, then I would recommend either renting your own car or going on a shared tour like the one the company I founded offers. And there's pros and cons between going with someone like us versus doing it yourself. Costa Rica is a very activity-based destination, and you're going to need to coordinate the times you book all these different activities. You just can't show up to most of these places. I mean, some of the parks you can, but it's not just about visiting parks. I mean, there's rappelling, and there's a bunch of, horseback riding, and a bunch of other activities that I'm going to talk about in this itinerary. So if you don't have it planned out very properly, you can have problems. You're going to just show up and they're going to say, I'm sorry, you didn't pre-book this. So let's now get to the actual itinerary. Ideally, it is best off for you to fly into the Liberia airport and fly out of the San Jose airport. This is because I'm recommending that you start this 11-day tour to Costa Rica in the beach town of Tamarindo. Tamarindo is only a little over an hour from the Liberia airport, as opposed to San Jose, it's 4 hours away by land. So you don't want to backtrack unless you have to. Now, there are times in which people flying from certain parts of the world can't get themselves into the Liberia airport, although it's an international airport. So they end up flying into San Jose and flying out of San Jose. It's not the end of the world if that's the case. We can pick you up from San Jose and take you to Tamarindo, or you can drive yourself from the airport. But yeah, you're going to need one of those two. I would not rely on the bus from the airport to get from San Jose to the Tamarindo. They don't leave all that frequently. You've now arrived at the Liberia airport on day 1, and you're taken via a 1 hour and let's say 15-minute drive to Tamarindo. If you've arrived in the afternoon, then on this day you can go horseback riding. If you can't do it on the first day, you could do it on the second. But ideally on day 1, you go horseback riding. It is one of the most popular places to go horseback riding in Costa Rica. And for me, the best place to do this is not on Tamarindo Beach itself, but near Conchal and Brasilito beaches. They're very near to Tamarindo, but they are not the same beach. They're different ones. So that is where I recommend you go horseback riding on day 1. Day 2, you're still based in Tamarindo, and this day is all about the catamaran cruise. It goes into a bay and you're provided with snorkeling gear and lunch. You're provided with an open bar. And the best part of it is the sunset. I mean, it really is beautiful. And you get back to Tamarindo in the evening and then you kind of just head back to your hotel. That is a good way to spend your day. On day 3, now, you relocate from Tamarindo to the Monteverde Cloud Forest Reserve. There's the shuttle that will take you there, or you can use your own private car or a private driver to take you there. So that one is relatively easy. Leave in the morning, and you want to go zip lining on day 3. This is the most famous place in all of Costa Rica to go zip lining. It has tens of thousands of visitors each year. So there's all kinds of biodiversity in this Cloud Forest Reserve, and it's not just about ziplining. If it was only about ziplining and nothing else, I wouldn't send our customers there. As you're ziplining, you're also seeing this cloud forest. You are enjoying the nature. You're enjoying the scenery. So it's kind of a 2-for-1 thing in which you're enjoying your surroundings and you're going ziplining. It's something I definitely recommend. Just note that you have to be at least 6 years old to go ziplining over there at the Cloud Forest Reserve in Monteverde. Now on the day 4, I would recommend you relocate from Monteverde to the town of La Fortuna. So yes, you only sleep in Monteverde for 1 night because it has one very specific purpose. It's to go on that zipline tour. Now on the 4th day, you've now taken either a shuttle or a private vehicle or a car rental to La Fortuna. And I recommend that you go to the Lost Canyon. You're going to go climbing and hiking over there, but the main thing is to go waterfall rappelling. This is one of the funnest activities you're going to do in all of Costa Rica. Everybody loves it. Everybody absolutely loves it. You have to be at least 6 years old to do it. And when you go over there, you're also provided with lunch. But the jumps that you do and the climbs you do and everything else, it's one of my favorite on earth. It might just be my favorite place to go rappelling on earth, along with the Philippines. After the Lost Canyon, I would go to one of the many hot springs in La Fortuna. The one that I personally recommend is called Ecothermis Fortuna. You bathe there in the natural pools, and there are different temperatures, some hotter than others, but they feel very smooth. They feel very relaxing. And when you go to one of these resorts, dinner is usually included. It's like a buffet style dinner. Now there are other resorts that you can go to that are a lot more expensive. That you also have these natural hot springs. How expensive they are versus what you're going to get, I don't see the return on investment, because some of them are very, very expensive. For global standards, they're even expensive. So yeah, the one that Ecotherm Fortuna, you don't necessarily need to sleep there, but you can use the facilities there. And yeah, it's a good one. You get a good bang for your buck with a good dinner at the end of it. And that's how you end your 4th day. Now on day 5, I recommend you make kind of an excursion from La Fortuna. So the first one that I'd recommend is the Místico Arenal Hanging Bridges Park. So it's got these like cool hanging bridges, and they are hanging in the tropical rainforest. I remember taking my family there, and my dad and brother especially really loved it. There's the La Fortuna waterfall, and you can go swimming over there. And then typically if you go on a shared tour, like the one that our company provides, lunch is included after the waterfall. And then the last thing you do on this 5th day is go to the Tenorio Volcano National Park. When you stay in La Fortuna, you're going to see this volcano everywhere. Again, it's called Tenorio Volcano. And there's a nice hike over there, and there's nice scenery and all of this. So it's definitely something you're not going to want to miss. On the 6th day, I recommend you go on a day trip, specifically to Tenorio Volcano National Park. It's both a national park and a volcano. And it consists of 4 volcanic peaks and 2 craters. You're going to find some thermal springs over there. You'll see some small geysers. You'll see these green rivers. It's called Rio Celeste. So you really enjoy the waterfalls and the lagoons. There's an upper area of the park, and that's where you'll see the cloud forest. And then the lower region is carpeted with rainforest. So you can go to it's called the Lago das Dantas Trail, and you'll see this different terrain before you reach the peak. So you see, when you do this by yourself, it's kind of harder to hit all of that, whereas when you're on a shared tour, the tour guide will show you all of this, and you're not going to have to figure it out for yourself. And lunch is included as well if you go on a shared tour, whereas if you do it by yourself, you're going to have to bring your own meal. On the 7th day, you relocate from La Fortuna to Manuel Antonio. This is a beach town, and it's also a national park. It is probably the most visited destination in all of Costa Rica, and for good reason. It's an absolutely beautiful place, beautiful beaches. It's Costa Rica at its most tropical, basically. In the evening of the 7th day, I recommend that you go inside the national park, and you can see these different creatures. And if you go on that tour, dinner is included as well. So on your 8th day, that is when I would recommend that you do a day tour of the Manuel Antonio National Park. It will look very different from the night tour that I'm recommending you do on the 7th evening. So on this 8th day, you do the day tour of Manuel Antonio National Park. After that, you can just relax, or you can take a surfing class. Surfing is very popular in Manuel Antonio. You're going to see a lot of tourists there. So some people want to go surfing, some people just want to relax and do nothing. You have both options on that day. On the 9th day, I would recommend that you enjoy the beaches and just relax, because this is a very active itinerary I'm putting together for you. So just kind of enjoy the first half of the day, and then the second half of the day, you can take a shuttle to the capital, San Jose. Now, if you have more than 11 days, I would recommend you give yourself an extra day in Manuel Antonio. If you have 2 extra days, maybe you give yourself one in Manuel Antonio and you give yourself one more in Tamarindo. So otherwise, you've now relocated to San Jose and slept there, wake up, and now it is day 10. On day 10, I recommend you do not spend any time exploring San Jose. The city itself is not attractive at all. It's best used as a base from which to make this day trip I'm about to tell you about, as well as leave from there. That's where the other international airport is. Again, the Liberia and San Jose airports. So on this 10th day, you can go on a shared tour. First to the Doka estate. There you're provided with breakfast, and then you're provided with a guided tour of a coffee plantation. Then you go to Paus Volcano National Park. You'll be provided with a guided tour there, but just know that it's often closed due to eruptions, and it's often very foggy. So you may not see this very beautiful volcano, or if you do, you're going to have to be patient and wait a little bit. So sometimes the shared tour will not go there depending on the weather. When I was there, I got lucky, I saw it. It's very beautiful. The day will end with visiting the La Paz waterfall. It is a beautiful waterfall. You're provided with lunch over there. And then at the end of the evening, you return to San Jose, and that's it. And then on the 11th day, you just go to the airport in San Jose and you fly out. So that is a very packed itinerary, but one that people absolutely love, in which you cover the highlights. You may be asking, well, Charlie, what about the other side of Costa Rica? Because all these places I've recommended are more the Pacific side. What about the Atlantic side of Costa Rica? I've been there many times. I'm not that crazy about it, in all honesty. I didn't find that the nature is on par with places that you'll find in the Caribbean. It's supposed to be something like the Caribbean, and even got this little like Jamaican little vibe to it and stuff. But no, I mean, for so many things you can do in Costa Rica, I didn't feel that it was a major highlight. There's nothing they're doing wrong. I mean, they make it as nice as they can, but yeah, just the nature over there is just not as compelling as elsewhere in Central America and the Caribbean. We briefly talked about the expense. Costa Rica is not nearly as cheap as it used to be. I remember years ago, I took my family there. We went specifically to Manuel Antonio, as well as a couple of other spots, La Fortuna. And in Manuel Antonio, we had a hotel with an ocean view, and we paid $50 a night. That same hotel today is around $250, $270 a night. So you can see how much prices have gone up. A lot of Westerners, especially Americans, have moved to Costa Rica. They're retired in Costa Rica. So Costa Rica is not as cheap as it used to be. We can just say that. Transportation, I wouldn't say is that expensive. The food, I wouldn't say is that expensive. The activities, a little bit expensive, but not overboard with it. The hotels. The hotels is really what hits your wallet. They are overpriced, in my mind. It's just supply and demand. The demand is so strong, and there's not enough supply. The hotels in San Jose are not that expensive, but Manuel, Antonio, La Fortuna, Tamarindo, I mean, and I don't think you get the best bang for your buck in Costa Rica in terms of hotels, comparing it to some other destinations in that part of the world. But it kind of is what it is. You can stay at cheaper hotels. Most people who do get angry. They just do. The air conditioning's not going to work, or they don't clean the vents in the ACs and the room smells because they haven't cleaned out the vents, or the water doesn't get warm enough, or it's just always something. So that's why in our case, the company that I founded, we don't even work with those 3-star hotels because we know people are going to get upset. So either just kind of accept it and go with a more affordable hotel, or go with a 5-star hotel and understand that you're going to be paying for it. The alternative to this is to do the apartment style rentals, like an Airbnb type of thing. If you're a big group, I can understand doing this. Still though, these apartment rentals are not that impressive. They're just not. There are some exceptions. I've seen some good ones, but there's not a huge abundance of them, and usually the really good ones get taken up relatively quickly. So you're going to want to get your hotels as soon as possible if you want to go to Costa Rica, especially if you want to go during December. I mean, they are booked out months in advance, months. So just kind of take that in consideration. The food, I love the plantains. They got these sweet plantains, and I can eat them to no end. The smoothies and just fruits and all of that are absolutely delicious. The meats are also good. They've got some steaks, things like that I really like eating. You're not going to find things that are just so specific to Costa Rica, but they have a good variety of both local cuisine and dishes to accommodate Westerners. The country is very much welcoming of Westerners and set up for Westerners. Probably one of the first countries in Latin America to do that effectively. And I think neighboring countries really look to them for guidance. People are easygoing. They're not so loud like others in Latin America. They're talkative, but they're kind of tranquilo, kind of calm. And there's a saying in Costa Rica, pura vida, which means the pure life. So that's kind of them. They're kind of just pure life, just take it easy, that kind of thing. Many of them speak English very well. I don't know this for a fact, but it wouldn't surprise me if statistically Costa Ricans, more of them speak English than any other country in Latin America, with the exception of Puerto Rico. So it's going to be very easy to interact with the people. They're usually very honest, and there's no real problems with it. As far as safety, all of our customers have not had any problems, fortunately. I imagine if you are out late at night in San Jose, you could run into some potentially pickpocketers or this kind of stuff. I don't really know, because we don't really tell anybody to hang out in San Jose, so I don't really see the point in it. So yeah, we really don't have these kind of problems. One place that you could have some problems is Jaco, Jaco, and that's where a lot of bachelors go in Costa Rica. And I mean, just to be very frank about it, there's a lot of prostitutes and this kind of stuff. So people who like gambling and prostitutes, they kind of go there. You know, if you're going to get yourself involved in that sort of thing, you can kind of play with fire and get burned. All that's not really my thing, neither the prostitution nor the gambling. I lost $500 when I was 22 years old, and I swore I'd never play again. And until this day, I never played again, not $1. So I would just stay out of that and not be hanging out in San Jose, and you'll be fine. You really, I think, will be just fine. And here you'll see our listing page for Costa Rica. We have 11 days package tour in which we cover all the highlights. You can start on any date, and we do not charge extra to solo travelers except for lodging, of course. So we have small groups, we have big groups. Unless you ask for this to be completely private, you will be with other travelers every single day. We provide the luxury hotels. All of our tour guides speak English, all the ground and water transportation's included. You have your own call concierge, meaning there's a local at your disposal if you need anything. The breakfasts are included for all mornings at all hotels. There's also some lunches and dinners included. If you scroll down just a little bit, you'll see our itinerary. It tells you exactly where we take you every single day and the order in which we visit these specific attractions. We have over 850 5-star reviews. You can see some of them here. We put a lot of smiles on a lot of people's face, and I know that we can do the same for you. Most of the questions that you have can be answered in our frequently asked questions section. One of the most common questions is at what specific hotels would we be staying? You can see the hotels that we use as long as there's availability. People also ask what kind of things that should be brought on the tour. We also tell you a little bit about that, like that waterproof backpack that I had previously spoken about. And if you scroll down just a little bit more, you can learn about our company and see what makes us unique and different. We are very easy to reach. We respond very quickly. Other than during COVID years ago, many years ago. Prior to COVID, we never canceled on anybody. Post-COVID, we've never canceled on anybody until now. Our tours are incredibly comprehensive. In other words, almost no other company out there offers tours that cover the highlights as well as we do. That is one of the main reasons why we exist as a company. Again, you start on any date, and here you'll see these tour guides that we have for different countries around the world. I have written these tour guides myself, and in here you can also read about Costa Rica. So this is us, and we're happy to show you this beautiful country. Let me say thank you for watching this video.